sorry. I want to go back to that 2J Kink. I want to talk about what Greg said about it on Link
Yo,
This.
that was the
Yo, my
funniest
man,
episode Greg ever did, bro.
I legit wanted. Actually, I'm gonna pull it up. I want to react to some of this live because he did an amazing job of tearing that down.
Yo, and his Welty rant in
Oh,
the
he said
tail
you are
end.
ugly.
Yo, he
Like ugly. Yo, this man, Sean, this guy, man, he's I don't know. He has no
it was just his ugh, you're ugly. Ugh. I'm like, damn, bro.
yeah, man. He said he called that
Oh,
man ugly.
What's
I,
going on? 2J's guy?
Yeah, he
yeah,
was going in.
No.
he was
A
going
friend
on
of ours.
uh personality that works for Complex who was covering the story.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's this guy named Welty. A lot of people don't like him for various reasons, but Greg just he let him fly, bro.
Hold on. Let me see.
2J's, man. I
As an
swear, the
episode,
person that's getting
anyways.
Can you hear
I want to
that?
appreciate everybody
Yeah,
who
we
like,
did.
subscribe, share this
Mm.
podcast. I appreciate everybody who DM. I'm not a huge 95 fan.
Oh, yeah, he
Got
goes.
real no. We've talked about on this podcast whether we've had beef, non-beef issues, and what. But this cat starts telling me his whole story.
He's
Why
talking
would
about how he
he?
met 2J's.
Yeah, he's
Why he
talking about the
puts
guy
up
who was
this
telling him
post
2J's
to
was
watch
kind of
his stupid?
suspicious.
Because I ain't mind nothing.
Yeah.
And I never bought anything. I gotta tell you, what you think you talking about? Like, you dummy. You're the one that came on our podcast and said
Yo,
that.
that was funny.
Then George got in there and said something, and then he DM'd, then 2J Beardman DM'd me,
Beard man.
and I see him going back and forth.
Like,
That's smart, but you ain't no dummy.
That's when he started
And he's on the
talking.
podcast, I mean, on the lives, contradicting himself. Fam, don't glaze over your missteps and your transgressions. I hate that.
yeah.
I hate that false umbrella of accountability when cats be like, you know, there was a couple, you know, I had a few issues, you know, but I made up for it. Don't do that. I hate that because there's been a lot of people over the years, before the 3 years, even before that, who have complained about you not paying them their money. This ain't just popped up right now. It
Those
may
are
be at an
facts.
all-time high right now, but this ain't
That's
the first
facts.
one.
They. I remember back in 2023, I think, the consigners would complain about not getting their pay.
And that's Greg brought up a point in this episode where he said his personal belief that if 2J's would have received the opportunity to squash the debt and all that and ride off into the sunset, that he'd probably have taken it or regained ownership, because this whole I'm doing my best to make consignees whole, I think all of that shit is performative personally. Now,
Mhm.
I don't have nothing against 2J's. I don't know the guy. I've never been to Urban Necessities. And side tangent, I think all these people go, when you go to New York and you go to Fight Club, you go to Vegas and go to Urban Necessities, you spend money for the experience. Fuck that. All those prices are outrageous.
I ain't buy a
Yeah.
damn thing when I was in Urban Necessities.
I ain't
I don't know.
buying, I am not traveling with my non-sneakerhead family to go to a sneaker store to give some random fucker another $150
So you
for
got
a
a plan.
product that I could get cheaper for the
Mhm.
experience.
Mhm.
What, like I'm getting my ball shaved while I'm there? These kids,
They
these
used to
kids
they
can
give
like a
haircuts
specialty.
upstairs. They were doing haircuts upstairs.
Well, you're gonna have to shave my nuts too.
Yeah, because
Like the fuck.
they doing haircuts. They don't want you to be recognized. Be coming out that motherfucker like, damn. People laughing at the fact.
Dog,
that
Yeah,
Dog, they was
I just
charging
bought these Panda Dunks for $200, and I had
No, more,
2J
dog.
sign them.
when I went over there. That's when Panda Dunks were like. Actually, no. 20 when those retro 2022
2021, 2020.
was it 21?
It was
No,
around-
really?
Yeah, we was in the house when
I
Panda Dunks
don't-
was going crazy.
I remember when it was okay. Maybe because I thought it was 22, 22. All right, never mind.
But yeah, like, so my point though, if what he's saying is true, I want to make everybody whole. Like Greg said, he knew about this shit going on years before this, and now it's actively, I want to make everybody whole. You want to do that because now you're in the hole, you're in trouble,
It's true.
and you want to drum up as much support as possible, because where was all this rah? There's no way you're just finding out that you got swindled out of majority ownership. There's no way you're just finding this out. There's no way
Yeah.
you're just realizing that people aren't getting paid. Because, like Greg said, don't glaze over the fact that people were getting paid late when you were running the operation. It was always
Yeah.
a little bit too big for you. That's why you reached out and got help. So I don't want to hear this shit like, I'm not worried about myself. I'm worried about the people. Fuck that. No, you're not. Stop that.
I'm telling you, what he's doing right now is rebuilding his brand, and he's got that new shit that is always linked in his bio. I started following it to see what it is, but he's gonna start making merch and doing all this bullshit. And it is what it is. I mean, he doesn't need urban necessities, but he's fucked because he gotta get money.
He's still liable for all the debt they incur. Look, like Greg said, he couldn't have said it any better. Shiesty person got out shiesty. Like, excluding the unfortunate circumstances of his wife having stage 4 cancer, I can't feel bad for nobody that was pushing a Bentley. Like, we got to start a GoFundMe for a multimillionaire who fucked up his bag. Fuck that. I'm not doing
And he shouldn't be mentioning her every time. Every other sentence is my wife got the colon cancer and blah blah. I'm like, what does that have to do with you making bad decisions with your business? And again, he said he don't want to start a GoFundMe, but if he did, and it was for my wife to get colon cancer treatment, I'd totally give him like $100. Just because if it's going into his wife, look, if it's going to his wife getting better, I'll do that. He got too much pride. He don't want to do that. He wants to make the consigners whole and hold what's his name accountable.
You ever notice when celebrities fuck up a bag or their personal image, they always are in an empty room or isolated somewhere? It's so people don't see all the assets that they could liquidate in their life.
Oh no, he's been showing his assets. He's been liquidating his whole shoe collection.
Well, liquidate those sports cars and those multiple properties that you admitted in your video that you bought.
He said he's trying.
When you start doing that, and then once you've done that and you're still at wit's end, because like he admitted too, because Greg called him out for potentially not having health insurance. He said he does. So if health insurance is exhausted and you've liquidated your assets and you still in a hole, you could probably start talking about a GoFundMe for your wife. I'm just not gonna, as a person that works every day, that makes a meager living for myself and my family.
Do not.
I'm not going to give money out my pocket for a dude 5 years ago that was living at the peak because he put his John Hancock in the wrong spot and signed on the wrong dotted line. Nah, bro.
I mean, as I said, I do it to help his wife out because she's sick. You know, any of us would be down and need help if it came down to it. Especially if I had a following, some clout, or whatever. I do it just because I want my wife to get better. Other than that, if it's for the business and all this other shit, I mean, yeah, to your point, he's been swindling people for years. He's been out here flossing and taking advantage of.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I'm not even gonna call him a swindler. I'm just gonna call him somebody that has so many assets to use that asking for money online should be the last thing we talking about.
Well, he's not asking for money online. So
yeah,
but in a sense, he kind of is.
Blow. Yeah, I think he's softening the blow for going like, hey guys, I'm not asking y'all for money, but if y'all want to give it to me.
He said he'd been talking to his friends, you know, all the rich friends and stuff, and they were willing to help him, but he doesn't want their help. Bullshit. I don't know, man. Homie's just this is weird, yo. And I would look if Fat Joe came to me and said, "Yo, let's do 2 fat guys sneakers, let's do it," and I'll be like, "Oh shit, let's do it." You know what I mean? If I'm down and out and he wants to help me, I'll do it. You know, it's just the homie.
And I'm gonna have my lawyer with me too.
Oh, definitely to get the paperwork. I mean. But this guy probably won't because, he came from the streets.
And like people are saying, like, where was your lawyer? I think he had some sort of like legal representation. It just doesn't mean they were good though.
Yeah, I hear you. Anyway, let's keep it moving. 2JKicks. I'm glad you're on you're doing the complex. The complex interview was stupid. I sat through that whole thing. You said nothing besides
it was
the same
a puff
shit.
piece. It was a puff piece.
I'm Multi, like, Multi might as well have gotten down on his knees and just started sucking them off right
I'm
there.
like, Brendan done been gone for a week.
So
and look at what y'all have become. Like, damn.
Yeah.
Brendan, come back and help him real quick, yo.
Yo, it's pathetic.